If you just happen to come by, welcome to DrDarnise's House of Religion, Magic, and Conjure. I just decided to go live like right now instead of just making a video. And so welcome in. I have a few things on my mind that I felt like I'll just go live. Why make a video? Um, so first of all, I want to say about the class because many of you have said that you wanted this class on critical race theory, intersectionality, race, religion in America. That's what it really is. Race and religion in America. The class is happening this Sunday, December 27th. This Sunday, right after Christmas. So if you want to be in the class, you have to register for the class. So the link, I will add the link to the description box here, and you can follow the link and register for the class. And so I'll be talking about America's obsession with race, with religion, right? Apparently we were founded as a Christian nation, some will say, but not really. And in America, hey Erica, thank you. Hi. In America, these are things that we're obsessed. It's part of our national drug almost, right? It's like the family business of race and religion in America. So I want to really talk about what's known as critical race theory and why that is a thing in America. Um, and Phoenix Conjures, hi. Why that is a thing in America, where it comes from, and how it is systemically continuing in our country. It's the systemic part, the impact from that very beginning of America to now. We still contend with it. I know a lot of white people act like, why can't we all just get past that? We can't get past it because it's the family business. It's in everybody's, it's in the air, it's in the bloodstream. So, anyway, the class, race and religion in America. Okay, you must register. Okay, so why did that just look like it? I don't know, something went on the screen. I'm just gonna assume that it's all okay. Somebody send me a message and say, no, we still see and hear you. That'll be good. All right, so a few things I wanted to talk about is a few things to expect in 2021 and the Age of Aquarius going forward. Um, the Age of Aquarius is, okay, thank you, Phoenix Conjures. Um, okay, the Age of Aquarius. Um, we're going forward in a new way. And people have to get ready. I hesitate because there's so many things that came to my mind right there. Our country is in such turmoil. Like, when can we go back to normal? And have y'all realized that there is no back to normal? We are in a new age. And it's hard. It's a hard transition for a lot of people. The more you have been attached and connected to the old way, really attached, the harder it's going to be for you to shift with the planet, with consciousness into the new. But that's what's happening. It's already happening. And so I think I'm going to make a separate video on Black people in the New Age, the so-called New Age, African Americans in the New Age movement, kind of a thing. Um, because, I mean, we could say New Age so white, like people who are doing things like astrology, channeling, reading tarot, who are psychics and healers, and those of us who do hoodoo work. We could all be lumped together in this thing called New Age. But typically Black people get left out. As I watch different videos across YouTube, and probably you've noticed this too, most of the people are white, and there's no connection to Black people doing this kind of stuff too, doing these kind of spiritual practices. And so I'll probably make a separate video about that. But what I want to say in this video is about this Age of Aquarius and how there is no going back. The earth has already shifted into the fourth density. We are in the process of a spiritual awakening that none of us could have anticipated. People have been saying they want the Age of Aquarius. Y'all know the song, right? From when was that? From the late 60s or the 70s, the Age of Aquarius. We've been saying that this is coming. It's here. And so what does that mean? It means get ready for some changes. We are already in change and it's uncomfortable. This virus, even this president that we've had, outgoing president in December 2020, has been an indication that something is happening on a much larger scale, because he has been beyond the pale for anything that we've known in a president, right? He has pushed us into another realm of being. And pretty much anytime that happens, you know that something bigger is happening. It's time for America to shift. It's time for the world to shift. So what I want to say is about the Age of Aquarius, what you can expect to see. First of all, think about the sign of Aquarius in terms of astrology. Any Aquarians, any Aquarius people here who are here with me, and even after I record this live, if y'all are an Aquarius, just put Aquarius down there. I'm a Libra. I'm your fellow air sign. Air signs are very cerebral, intellectual kind of people. We're not the warm fuzzies, warm, emotional, like the water signs, Pisces, Cancer, Scorpio. We're not intensely emotional like that, even though I have a Cancer rising, which is why a lot of people, I think I'm more emotional and warm and fuzzy than I am. But if you're in my classroom in the university, they'll be like, no, she's not really warm and fuzzy like that. But anyway, and Aquarians are even less so, right? They're very mental, they're very intellectual, they're very conceptual people. So think about the sign of Aquarius. They can be very quirky, very out of the box, very chatty, very social. So what we're going to see and what we're already seeing is a global emphasis, because Aquarius is an energy of being gregarious and social. So what we're going to see is an emphasis on global issues, or on how things affect humanity in a global way. No more just tribalism and nationalism. You see, the people who are fighting the hardest are the ones who want nationalism. They want to put a fence around America or a wall around America and say, no, it's only just for us, right? That is going away, right? It's going away. He tried to build a wall. That don't work. How silly does it sound even? How ridiculous does it even sound? I'm going to build a wall around my country and prevent other people from coming into it. That don't make no sense. Okay. The Age of Aquarius is this awareness that we are, as humanity, we share an experiences. We are we're human beings, and we share this planet. We share certain vulnerabilities. We are in this together. We really are. And so the emphasis of Aquarius is to say we need to be social. We need to be aware of each other. Aquarians are very humanitarian. Think about Oprah. Oprah's an Aquarius. You get a car, you get a car, you get a car. Let me start this school over here in Africa, right? She's got a global perspective about things. And she, kind of wants to save the world. I shouldn't even say kind of. She wants to save the world. They're also typically good communicators because they're very chatty. They're very gregarious people. So they're typically very good communicators. And so they want to bring an expanded form of communication and expanded form of consciousness to the rest of the world. That's exactly what Oprah does with her Super Soul Sunday, owning a network. She is the epitome of an Aquarius. Right? She's very gregarious in the way that she speaks to people, right? And so she's out here, you might say, conquering the world through the media, through communication. And she's reformulated it. And that's what you can expect to see in the Age of Aquarius going forward, is a reformulation of the way we communicate and the way we think about what's important. Because it's less emphasis now on an individual, on a particular nation. The place where we'll see some emphasis on the individual is in terms of individual expression, but freedom in individual expression, because Aquarians can be very quirky, very unusual, very outside the box in the way that they think, right? They can be really innovative. That's another point we'll see in the Age of Aquarius. And so people who are coming out to be who they really are, we're going to see a lot more of that, and a lot more global acceptance of people's expression. Like, you've got people who are trans, and people say, where all these trans people come from? They've always been here, but they felt they had to hide. Now we're moving into a new age where they're feeling like, no, I'm not going to hide anymore. I have a right to express myself just like anybody else. And they really, as odd as it may seem, trans people are really pushing the envelope for the whole society, the whole LGBTQ community, pushing the envelope in terms of expression, gender expression, sexuality. They're pushing us as a whole, not as one particular community, not as one nation. They're pushing the entire world or consciousness forward in terms of what to expect or how to be, because we've had a very narrow conception. You have to be either or. You have to be a man or a woman. You have to be straight or gay. Even though we knew people were not really either or, we knew that people were in the middle in a lot of ways. Well, anyway, expect to see more personal, individual expression. People are not going back into any more closets. People are not going to hide. That's just over. People coming out, and they're going to be who they want to be. Dissolving those dichotomized constructs. Thank you. Yes. Venus conjures. Dissolving the old world. And what's funny about people is because we say we want change. Oftentimes we say we want change. Oh, we can't wait for this to change and this to change. And as soon as change happens, we cry. Oh, no, not like that. Right? I wish I had a different job. And then you lose your job. Panic. Well, you said you wanted a change. But it's very human. I mean, I do it myself too. Like, wait, not yet. And so when we can't see what's on the other side, it freaks a lot of people out. They get really scared because their identity is in question. Like, well, if this person is this person, what about me? Or who am I? Well, if I think that I'm really a Christian and these Muslims move next door to me, who's right? Who has the right religion? Some people get freaked out about that. You can't be over there doing hoodoo in your house because I thought that was devil worship. I thought that was something really bad. You mean I've been wrong? People don't like to be wrong. Anyway, back to my point. So we can see in Age of Aquarius, an individual expression. I just heard, what is that comedian's name? Eddie Izzard, I think is his name. I'm trying to think of what he's been in, but if you Google Eddie Izzard, Izard, not quite sure how you pronounce his name. spell his name. But he's a really well-known British comedian, and he just came out the other day to say he's trans. I'm trying to remember. I have to get the pronouns right. She is now transitioning and is trans, right? And so expect to see more of that, and not necessarily just trans people, but people showing up in ways that are non-traditional, non-conforming, just the term gender non-conforming. We're going to see more people show up gender non-conforming or religious non-conforming, being multi-spiritual. We're going to see more people showing up that way because the old systems just don't work anymore. And so people are like, well, I don't even have to, I can be this and that. I can be both and, not either or. And so what else I want to say? Oh, about this these global issues we're going to be looking at. So the environment, you see the environment gets a lot of our attention these days, right? So the environmentalism, because that's a global issue, affects every person on the planet. Some people are choosing, to become vegan or vegetarian. That has an impact on our environment for the better. right? There's an idea like, oh, I should really do this for my own spiritual development, not even just physical health, but a lot of people are becoming vegetarian or vegan, or even just adding more plants, becoming more plant-based, because they're attaching that to their spiritual awakening. Right, so you can expect this acknowledgement that, yeah, we share this one planet, and it's helpful if we take care of our planet, right? So I live in California, so y'all know we really do a lot here in California in terms of maybe, spearheading a lot of things that other people in the country go, what? Like, we don't do, a lot of time, a lot of places don't do plastic straws anymore unless you ask for a plastic straw. So people are buying their own straws that, so the restaurant's not going to give you a plastic straw. And I know when I get a drink from a coffee shop, tea or whatever, and, to go, so they put the little plastic stopper in there. And now I'm like, don't put that little plastic stopper in there because that's just plastic, like a straw. They're like, oh yeah. Right, because we're thinking more now about how our garbage, plastic, shows up in the ocean or on the beach somewhere else. Then we see videos, right, of how much plastic is in the ocean, how much plastic is showing up on these other people's shores. And we're becoming aware, right? I'm Aquarius rising, and I definitely feel that my appetite changed weeks ago. I feel like I could go vegetarian for sure. Thank you, Janelle. Exactly. Right? I mean, I gave up beef and pork a long time ago, but definitely more plant-based. And it's not like somebody really had to tell me to do it. I just sort of leaned that way. And what's the name of the woman? Somebody Brown. I should know her name, right? She's become a Black woman who's become famous through the internet streets for her vegan recipes. And so again, as I talk about Black people who are in the so-called new age, or Black people doing more of these kind of things, right? Tabitha Brown, thank you. Tabitha Brown, thank you. And she's become famous for cooking all this vegan food, right? And so Black people are starting to not look at that like that's so strange. I mean, I'm from Ohio. I go home to Cincinnati. They still look at me like, what is it? No, Uncle, I have to remind them all the time, I'm gluten-free, and no, I don't drink water out the tap. And, the whole thing I go through. But I'm just giving you some examples of how we're already seeing this transition, this movement towards, and people are getting on board. So with Tabitha Brown, people are getting on board. She's made it fun. She's made it interesting with her natural hair, right? Showing up, Black woman showing up. Black women been showing up this year. Can we get a what? Yes, Black women showing up with her beautiful hair and everything. Like, let me show you how to kick up this vegan food. So, and we can expect more of that individual expression and not being, criticized for it. And I mean, some people are going to always hate and criticize, but whatever. Who was it? Brene Brown, no relation. Brene Brown, who says, people don't have a right to criticize you if they're not in the ring also, in the ring of life. If you're out here doing something risky, putting yourself out there, sticking your neck out to do something, being original, starting a business or whatever it is, but you're sticking your neck out in some way and people can take pot shots at you, people who are not, the ones who are just sitting on the sidelines, they don't get a vote. You don't even listen to those people, right? If you're not in the field, if you're not, on the playing field, if you're not in the boxing ring, you don't get a vote as far as what it takes to take risks. The Age of Aquarius is about to be all like risk, right? The other thing about the global emphasis is this virus and the vaccine. I always say God and her jokes. How do you get a stiff-necked people like human beings to pay attention on a global level? How do you get people who are so caught up on their particular little place on the earth, right, where they think they're more special than this group over there? How do you get their attention to pay attention to the whole? I have an idea. How about this illness that affects all human beings? And how about this vaccine that now you all have to share, right? And no matter how you feel about the vaccine or whatever, because as Black people, we're suspicious. We just suspicious, and we have a reason to be, right? But the fact is, this is a global phenomenon. And so now we're hearing, oh, people in the UK, is there a new strain of this virus? And now it's more virulent. We have to be concerned about that if that's what's happening in the United Kingdom, because that could be coming our way any second, right? Other parts of Europe, they're already like, okay, well, we're not accepting nobody coming from the UK. Other European countries are like batten down the hatches, nobody from the UK, because we're all paying attention globally now. So God and her jokes, right? Because we have to pay attention to what's going on with our neighbors, our brothers and sisters around the world. So I just think God and her jokes, she's like, here, how I'm gonna get your attention, how I'm gonna get you to go in the house, calm down from what you've been doing, pay attention. You want punishment, you can't come out. Pay attention. Take this lesson. We're getting ready to shift. You're going to all need to be able to deal with this virus one way or another. So if it's going to be a vaccine, you're going to have to deal with it one way or another. All of you, right? Like the planet and the environment. All of you have to deal with this one way or another. So I'm thinking we're going to see, well, we are seeing economic issues, and probably we'll see more economic issues for the good or ill. There's probably going to be some challenges in the whole stock market, just because these are the institutions that have been built over centuries, right? And so what's happening is there's a change happening, and so we can expect our economic systems to change already. Think about what you see. Well, where I am, there's a coin shortage. How is there all of a sudden a coin shortage? I go to some stores and they're like, we don't have any coins. Can you use exact change or use your card? And so I'm even saying like, okay, I gave them, cash. And I was like, okay, we'll keep the 20 cents then. There's changes in our economic structures happening. I don't know what happened to the coins. I asked somebody, well, what happened to the coins that used to be in circulation? How come there's a coin shortage? Did the mint close down because of COVID? I don't know. Maybe somebody knows what happened to all the coins. I don't know. But I'm saying that what we know is there's going to be some changes in our economic systems. We know banks, remember when the banks had to be bailed out? These investment companies that were considered too big to fail, but they did, the government had to bail them out, the banks. Okay, so I'm just saying, there's going to be some changes to our economic structures. Innovation is also a characteristic of Aquarians. And communication, as I said, so what you can expect, I think, communication is going to continue to expand via the internet, and probably innovations that we can't even forecast now, can't even imagine in 20, 30, 50 years what communication will look like our phones. I think not necessarily in 50 years, it could be in 100 years where we won't need a phone. It's going to be some other way. I don't know. It could be a chip, some other kind of device. You know how like on Star Trek, if you watch Star Trek and they have a communication device on their clothes? We're not even going to need to carry around this phone. Innovation is going to happen. That's going to just make what we think of as, very normal or even advanced now seem like, oh gosh, you don't need a phone anymore. You got to carry that thing around. Who wants to carry that thing around? Because think about when cell phones, if you're old enough to think about when cell phones first came out, they were big as a shoebox, right? You kept it in the car. It was a car phone. Now, look how these little things. And so I'm just saying the way we communicate is going to change and go through some major innovations. And, it'll all be, well, I started to say it'll all be for the good. We don't know. we will think that it's good. Like the Apple Watch, people wearing an Apple Watch or the Fitbit. I don't know. Is that good? Or the AirPods. I don't have the AirPods because I'm not sure that's really good for your brain to have those things in there. Am I making that up? Y'all let me know. What do you think about AirPods? Is it good for your brain to have those things in your ear all the time and it's Bluetooth communication? I don't know. I tend to think, I don't need that in my ear all the time. And then so people just leave them there, right? And walk around with it. People just leave. I was like, do I want that in my ear? But it's the wave of the future. The Apple Watch or whatever that tells you everything about yourself, your heart rate, how many steps you took, or everything. And then people want to say, well, we don't have any privacy. No, you don't have privacy. You walking around with this thing that tells everything about yourself. There is no such thing as personal privacy anymore. How are you going to be mad about, oh my gosh, I'm being tracked? Why are you wearing that watch? I feel seen. I mean, it's kind of just, I could be making it up, but it just seems to me like, I don't need that thing to be broadcasting all my business, do I? I don't know. You tell me. I might be just off. The other thing I want to do is get my genealogy done, my DNA, but I'm halfway like, who am I sending my DNA off to? And how do I know for sure that's what it is? These past years, of course, have made us all suspicious about so many things. Like, I don't know if I should do it. But I probably will. I do want to know my African ancestry. Well, my ancestry in general. It's going to be more than just African, right? Because we're all pretty much mixed all over the world. One of my associates, she got hers done, and she showed me, like, on her phone, she had an app, and Black woman, but she is 11% Scottish. I thought, how random. Like 11% is kind of a lot. She had more Scottish in her than some African, right? She was mostly Congo and Nigerian, by far. But when it starts to break down all the different things, like, I don't know, maybe it's like 5% South African, but 11% Scottish. I'm like, well, there's America for you. Because in the United States, or in the Americas, even, including the Caribbean and South America, we're mixed because we were brought from Africa and mixed with Europeans and indigenous people. And there's no sense in acting like we're not. Again, it's a lesson in all of us learning that as one human family. So innovations, as I was saying, so internet communication, also AI, artificial intelligence. How many of y'all got an Alexa or Siri? Those girls getting ready to start taking over our lives. People get the smart home things like the Ring, that doorbell, where you can observe, who's at your door. Even when you're not home, you can, I guess, have an app and see who's ringing your doorbell or standing on your porch, where you can control things in your house from your little pad or whatever, your iPad or whatever you have. It's already upon us. How many people remember the cartoon, The Jetsons? To show how old you are, I guess. I remember the cartoon, The Jetsons, and they had a lot of what we had, like Zoom, how we're all on Zoom and Skype and whatever. They had the big television in their living room, and she was talking to people through the television, and we thought, oh wow, she's talking to people through the television. Yeah, well, we talk to people through the screen now, right? So innovations in artificial intelligence, AI, robots. Do we even call them robots? Like, I want to say, like, what is Alexa? What is Siri? And I hate to say it so loud, because if you have an Alexa and Alexa keeps hearing me say her name, she'll come on. Woo-hoo. I used to have one, I don't know more. Because I was like, when is Alexa off? Alexa is never off. Right? You call her name? Hi. Siri, never off. So, and I'm not saying those are bad things. I'm just saying, you might say that some people will say it's terrible, the government's listening to you, whatever. Somebody's listening. But my point is, that's only going to continue, and we're going to become more and more reliant upon artificial intelligence. We're going to like it in a lot of ways. People are going to start getting household assistants that are artificial intelligence. And then we'll have to deal with, at some point down the line, Are these things, Alexa and Siri or whatever, once they have actually their own physical bodies, if it's a robotic body, artificial body, do we have an ethical responsibility towards them? Are they sentient beings? Do we have to care for them? Is it ethical to just shut one off? You know, all this has been played out in science fiction movies for decades. What will be our ethical responsibility to something like an Alexa? If you have some kind of robot that comes and cleans your house or does stuff for you, and you talk to it like it's a person, do you have some responsibility to it? And, you know, really they're smarter than we are because they're computers. So we will rely upon them for a lot of things, right? Like we rely upon our phones, we rely upon our computers, we rely upon all our technology. And so these artificial intelligence robots, whatever we call them, we will rely upon them, and they are smarter than we are. We'll become old hardware. We'll become the ones who are antiquated. Just something to think about. And let me see, probably the last thing I will talk about is as a current example of the sort of expansion in consciousness that's happening. Because, of course, with Aquarians, with the Aquarian energy, the expansion of spirituality is about to just blow up. Spirituality is about to just... Old traditional religion is just about done. Not to say that we're not going to be religious, we're not going to be spiritual. We are already spiritual beings. We are spiritual beings having a human experience. So we're never going to not be spiritual. But it'll be the shape in which we express our spiritualities that will just be mind-boggling. So one of the things that I saw here recently, y'all know we just had the winter solstice, and I was taken aback at how many people were paying attention to the winter solstice. Right, December 21st into December 22nd is the shortest. You were like, what exactly is the winter solstice? It's the shortest day of the year, the least amount of sunlight, daylight, and the longest night, as opposed to the summer solstice when we have the longest day and the shortest night. Right, so the winter solstice, that's the official sort of switching over of the seasons from fall into winter. It's the shortest amount of sunlight for the day, the longest night. And so indigenous religions, people who practice indigenous spiritualities, have been recognizing the winter solstice since the beginning of humanity, because it's a ritualistic time where people were, you know, sort of afraid of this long night, and they want the sun to come back, right? This is the winter time, so things go into hibernation. This is a time where nature seems to die to come back in the spring, right? And so ancient people would sort of go through these rituals to implore that the sunlight come back, to make sure the light was going to come back. And so it's been a time of high ritual for all of humanity. But once we had institutional religions like Judaism, Christianity, and Islam come along, they basically said, don't do that because that's heathenish, it's pagan, it's witchcraft, don't worship nature. But we know in indigenous practices like our own African indigenous, it's not about worshiping nature. We know who the creator is. But it is about acknowledging the cycles of nature. And because we're part of nature, we're not separate from nature, we're part of nature. We have to work with Mother Nature. We have to know her cycles, right? We have to know her cycles. You don't plant in the middle of winter, right? Animals don't have their babies in the middle of winter. So people who practice indigenous practices, the so-called pagans or people in Wicca or whatever tradition, they have practices that recognize winter solstice. So this year, in 2020, 2020, the year of perfect vision, of clear vision. So many more people have been paying attention to the winter solstice. It's all over YouTube, for example. Like all these people putting up videos about the winter solstice, Black people talking about winter solstice, people on Twitter talking about the Negro solstice or something happened. I was like, what? This is unusual. Really unusual. As so many people around the world are talking about the winter solstice when this was a spiritual practice that was attributed to so-called witches. Something that the churches said is wrong and bad and evil. Don't be out there in nature, worshiping the moon or the trees or whatever you're doing. Stop it. Get ready for Christmas. So they couldn't stop people. Here's how we get to Christmas, which we're about to have on the 25th in a couple days. Here's how we get to Christmas. They couldn't stop people. The Christian church could not stop indigenous people from performing the rituals that they'd already known all of their lives and the generations before them. You don't just come along and say, hey, we're the Christian church, stop doing that. Okay, sure, I'll take Jesus as my Lord and Savior and forget everything that my people have done since the beginning of time. No, they mixed it. We call that syncretism in religious studies. Syncretism, they mix things together. So you have this holiday where you've got Saint Nick, Santa Claus, you've got Christmas trees, which are really evergreen trees. Evergreen, which is a reference to fertility, right? Evergreen meaning ever fertile, right? Like I bring this symbol of nature, abundance into my home to remind myself that nature is abundant. And then I put these little bulbs on the tree. What are those bulbs? Bulbs represent eggs, which represent fertility. So we're back to a fertility sort of ritual, which has to do with the coming back or the return of the season, the return of the light, the return of the sun. You get it? The return of the sun, the resurrection of the sun. So I bring this tree into my house. I bring these bulbs onto my tree. I put these lights onto my tree. All of this stuff having to do with fertility and the resurrection of the sun, S-U-N. So here comes Christianity and says, well, we can't get these people to stop doing this. No matter what we say, they're going to keep doing it. So we're going to push this together with the resurrection of the S-O-N. And that's why people, so many people who are woke at Christmas time, they're like, oh, we can't practice, Christmas because it's pagan. All the rituals are pagan. All religions are pagan. Everything is mixed. Religion and culture are mixed. If they don't mix them, nobody's going to practice them because nobody will be able to relate. Religion is always practiced through your culture. Right? You got Roman Catholic Church, you got Irish Catholic, you got Russian Orthodox, Greek Orthodox, you got African American churches. Why do we have you got Mass that's done in Spanish, Mass that's done in Korean, Protestant, Korean Baptist churches. People make the religion their own. That's what people do. That's what people do. The African religions that we brought with us across the Atlantic Ocean over here, dragged over here and told, no, you can't be that anymore. We couldn't help but be it. So all over the United States, all over the Caribbean, all over South America, you have African descent people mixing their religion with their colonizers' religion, coming up with a new form of that same religion, of those religions, coming up with Afro-Brazilian religions, things like Candomblé, right? Things like Umbanda. You move into Cuba, you got Lukumi, you got Santeria. You in Haiti, you got Vodun. You come into the United States, it's all Protestant, mostly Protestant. We just mix it. So Christmas, Christ Mass, of course, is a mixture of Christianity and the pagan stuff they found. The pagan rituals. Really, pagan is not a bad word. I think I did a video on that maybe last Christmas, last year, maybe at Easter. Pagan itself is not a bad word. Pagan just means it's of the people. It's what the people have always done. It's the non-traditional, non-institutional religious practices that the people were doing, and you weren't going to get them to stop doing it. No matter how you try. If you read the Bible, you read the Old Testament, the Hebrew scriptures, here's how you know you couldn't get people to stop doing stuff. All throughout the Old Testament, thou shalt not do this, thou shalt not do that. Don't dance around that cherub pole, don't do this, don't do that, don't worship that golden calf, right? Why are they always telling people not to do those things? Because people kept doing them. That's why you tell people not to do stuff, is because they are doing it. If people are not doing it, you don't have to tell them not to do it. Right? Moses said, I gotta go up on Mount Sinai and meet with God. Don't just try to stay out of trouble. He come back down that mountain and sex, drugs, and rock and roll, golden calf. I can't leave y'all for 5 minutes. Anyway, what I'm saying is we're just going to mix. We're going to mix our spirituality. So when Christmas comes and people don't want to celebrate it because they don't believe in Jesus, just, if some people believe in Jesus, and if they want to recognize Jesus as his birth on Christmas, on December 25th, let them. And what difference does it make if that's not the real day he was born? So it's just a day that has been commemorated. Some days are sacred. Some days are ordinary, what we call profane. There's a difference between the sacred and the profane. It's the sacred and the ordinary time. And people have always marked time according to special days and ordinary days. Our own birthdays, for example. It's a special day and an ordinary day. So sometimes, look, those of us who work for a living, you can't always get your actual birthday off. So you do something on the weekend for your birthday, right? You do something on a different day that's really not your birthday, because you know that on your actual birthday, you have to go to work or you have to do stuff that you have to do. So, and as a grown person, you don't just get to opt out and be like, I'm not doing anything. I mean, you might be able to, but you know what I'm saying? Like, sometimes you just have to move the celebration. So December 25th can be the recognition of Jesus's birthday without it having to be historically accurate. We're not going to never know what day Mary actually gave birth. Does it matter what day Mary actually gave birth? I don't know. It's kind of like a pet peeve of mine, because I see people get so hung up. Again, a lot of people who consider themselves to be woke, they get so hung up on what's historical or not historical. It doesn't matter when we're talking about spirituality and religion. This is not history. None of it is history. These are stories that remind us to look beyond our own selves, right? To look to God, to look to the infinite. It doesn't have to be historical. Don't read the Bible as your history book. Don't expect it to be a history book. It bumps up against some historical things, yes. Like, this person was king at this time. This is what was going on in this city or this country at this time. Yeah, so we get some historical information from it, but if you're looking for that to be a historical book, you're looking in the wrong place, right? Or for it to prove some kind of history lesson, a science lesson about, it took how many days of creation? 6 days of creation, and God rested on the 7th. So it has to be 6,000 years. Come on. It's not a science book. It's not a history book. No religion is like that. But see, this is why I say Americans are obsessed with religion. We want to make things literal. Don't make spirituality literal. Go with the symbolism and the mythology, the allegory. It's much richer. Spirituality is much richer if you can understand that things can be symbolic. Like, here's my crystals and my candles and stuff. A lot of these things are symbolic. It's okay. It's really okay to just say, I'm just going to call this day special. It doesn't have to be historical. We move around Martin Luther King's birthday and celebrate it in January. We're just going to make it convenient for us, all right? Or President's Day. So anyway, I don't know. Anybody on here want to add any comments about anything I've been saying? I've been talking now for 45 minutes. I decided to get somewhat in the spirit of holiday. I put on my purple sequins. Purple's my favorite color. I decided to put on some. I said, why not? I've been. Today was the day I turned in my final grades at the university. Whew, for the semester, and it's always hard work, y'all, to get those final grades out. And I just decided to liven things up. You know, we can't really go nowhere in these days. I so want to go someplace. But I said I'm going to wear my sequins anyway, so I pulled out my purple and my jewelries and said, well, why not? I'm just going to celebrate for the rest of the year, the holiday season. I'm going to wear my sequins, and you know, I bought myself a couple pieces of jewelry because I can't go nowhere. Anybody else? What you gonna do for Christmas? What you gonna do for New Year's? What you gonna do for New? You know what? I bought a New Year. I bought a dress with some sparkly something on it for New Year's. To what? Sit around the house, which is, people always make fun of Libras. Libras get dressed up to just sit around the house. We do. Like, why not? Wear perfume. Why am I gonna leave it just sit in the bottle for a year? I heard somebody say on her channel, I'm saving my perfume. I don't want to wear it. You know, you may as well. We all could die tomorrow. You may as well wear your stuff. Wear your good jewelry. Tess, thank you. Wear your good jewelry. Wear your good perfume. Wear your good underwear and your nice pajamas. Since we in the house, buy yourself a nice pair of pajamas and wear them. Get yourself a nice pair of sheets. Indulge yourself on things that, you know, maybe you would not otherwise. But you know what? We need some good things in life, right? We need some good things, comfort things. Some people, you know, have turned to their comfort food and have put on their quarantine 15 or whatever. I don't know. I'm not that kind of person to, I don't know. I don't really turn to food like that. Like if I get really stressed, I don't eat. I miss meals. I skip meals if I'm really stressed or anxious. I know some people, you know, they eat as a stress response. For me, I'm like, oh, I can't bear to eat. But anyway, I'm just saying, take good care of yourselves, indulge, use your good stuff. What you saving your good dishes for? Really, what you saving your good dishes for? What you saving your good jewelry for? What you saving your good perfume for? Do your rituals. Oh, I should say, I should make another video about that. As we get down to the, okay, two things. As we get down to the new year, remember, I always say, think ahead. What you want to manifest. Y'all know I have another class coming in January on manifestation. Meaningful manifestations is called. Meaningful manifestations. We're going to hit that in January. It's going to be, at least at this point, the weekends in January. Might not be the first weekend, like the second, third, and fourth weekends in January. Meaningful manifestation. So what do you want to manifest in January? Get your mind right. Start thinking about what you want to manifest, because these energies are hot, y'all. It's the Age of Aquarius. Okay. So what do you want to manifest? Get some clarity, because you don't want to just do it haphazardly. You don't want to manifest by default, which means you haven't thought about it and every day is just stuff is just happening and you're in reactive mode. When I say manifest by default, I mean you're in reactive mode. Things happen and you have to react. So get your mind right where you're setting into motion the things you want to set into motion, the things that are meaningful to you. That's why I'm calling it meaningful manifestations. Set into motion what you want to manifest. So I always create a, hey, Reverend Quentin, look who's out here, Quentin Stroud, Master Oracle, the Master Oracle. Oh, let me just say to y'all, if you need a reading, my good friend Quentin Stroud, Master Oracle on there, can give you a reading. See, Black person in the so-called New Age. I don't know if you were here when I talked about that, Quentin, but I was like, we're here. Black people in the so-called New Age, really. Quentin can give you a reading. If you want a reading, hit up Master Oracle Quentin right there. I've had many a reading from Reverend Quentin over the years. As a matter of fact, Reverend Quentin knows he helped me during a very difficult time that I experienced a few years back. Oh God, Quentin, do you remember? It was Christmas Day, Quentin. Do you remember? It was Christmas Day. We will not discuss the details here on this YouTube, but it was a very difficult Christmas day for me. And he answered the phone. Yes. He answered the phone because he really was a coach. He was a mentor to me in that moment, in that season of my life. And I needed him that day. And he came through. He came through. He came through. So if y'all need a reading, do hit up Quentin. Put your Reverend Quentin, put your however people find you for a reading, put that down there. How can I share this? Don't you just type in whatever your name is? Like, I don't know. How do people book a reading? How do people book time with you? Can you just put on IG? Okay, he's saying on Instagram at the Master Oracle. Yes, if y'all need a reading for anything, I can vouch for him. I've known him for several years. I don't even know how many years it is now. I don't even remember how we met, really. But anyway, I'm all off track. I don't know where to. Oh, what to do for the new year. As I said, I bought this dress with sequins on it. I'll probably come in here and do another video or live on New Year's. I was like, why not? I'm going to wear this dress around the house on New Year's because it's nowhere to go. So think about your word. I always do a word for the year. A word or a phrase that will help you focus, a tool of manifestation for you. What will be your word for 2021? Or phrase that really exemplifies who you want to be, what you're growing into. What is your word? I got a word, I got a phrase that I'm percolating on. That's why I'm telling you ahead of time. Like, think of January 1 as the turning of a page, turning a new leaf. And, again, it's just a day, right? It's just a day, but it's a day we commemorate. We give it meaning. We make it sacred. Of course, you can do it any day. You can use your own birthday, your solar return as your new year. Any day you want to start a new leaf. But here we are collectively with the collective energy saying January 1, we turn the page. So what do you want to be stepping into in January 2021? I have some things coming, some new classes. How do we discover that word? Well, Reverend Quentin, what I do is I just ask my inner self, my higher self, what she has for me. Well, I think about, to try to answer that more specifically, I think about where I am in my own journey and what I'm wanting to do next. What's the next step of my own personal evolution? What is it that I want? And I just call it that. I call the year, whatever it is. Let me see. I might have my, hang on a sec. Oh. I made this little notebook. Don't laugh at it. I like to, okay, anyway. I just did a craft. I'm not good at crafting, but I decided to do a crafting thing. And so I called it Magically Manifesting in 2020. So my word was was magically manifesting. That's what I did for 2020. So I did this, January 1 or whatever, 2020. And I used, I'll just share, I can share it with you now. So 2 tarot cards, the Fool and the Magician. Those are about my favorite cards in the whole tarot is the Fool and the Magician. Right, Reverend Clinton? And that's the cover of my book right there, Destiny Fulfiller. But because the Fool, these are 0 and 1 in the tarot deck. 0 and 1, very first cards of the tarot deck. And the Fool means starting again, starting a journey with a certain kind of innocence, certain kind of, foolishness, but not in a bad way, in the sense to say I take on a new thing with innocence and hope, and starting again. And then the first card, number 1, the Magician, means you have all the tools in your own hands, because the Magician has all the tools, if you can see that, all the tools. You have what you need to create. And so I decided for 2020, my year, my idea was going to be magically manifesting, meaning that I was going to manifest some things in magical ways, right? Meaning ways that are going to surprise me, ways that are going to seem like magic when they show up. Things that I don't have to work to the grindstone to do or accomplish. Um, I was expecting a sort of magic to occur. And some things have happened. Actually, just this month here in December, some things have happened, or some things have happened quickly. And again, being Libra, we like to weigh everything. And so we don't make quick decisions. And people make fun of Libra because can't make a decision. And people say, you can't make a decision. We can. It just takes some time because we weigh, and we weigh. Reverend Quentin is Libra rising. Aren't you Libra rising? And so it takes us some time. But what I noticed in December, a couple of things have happened very quickly. And it has surprised me. And again, as I say, God and her jokes, because she waits till December to do this for me. We have a thing. Leo rising. Libra moon. Oh, okay. Thank you. Libra moon. Leo rising. Oh, that's right. Libra moon. Oh, I have a Gemini moon. You know, if you have an air sign and moon, because the moon is about emotions. Right? If you have an air sign in your moon, not that emotional. That's just an aside. So for 2021, I'm thinking, okay, what is the next stage of my, and Quentin knows me so well, Queen of Swords, Quentin. What am I going to do for 2021? I'm not going to share that word because one, I haven't decided 100%, but I am, it's rolling around in my mind on probably what it will be. So you do that for yourselves. Do it for yourselves. What's the next stage of your growth, the next stage of your own evolution? Think big. You don't have to know the how. Don't sabotage yourself by saying, well, I don't know how this is going to happen, or that'll never happen for me. Allow it to happen. Allow it to unfold. Allow it to take form. If you want to join me for that class in January, please do. Again, meaningful manifestations. We're going to go beyond the secret, right? We're going to go beyond the superficial and not just talk about, how to manifest and get a new car, how to manifest, but I want to talk about, the spiritual teachings that go deeper so that your manifestations are more meaningful. Please learn about the spiritual traditions that give more power and context to manifesting. That way you have more control, power, personal power. That's what I'll say about that. But again, I will say for those of you who are wanting the class that I'm going to do this Sunday, remember when I started off this live talking about the class that's happening this Sunday, which is on critical race theory, race and religion in America. That class is this Sunday, and as I said, I will leave the link in the description. And if you see in the last couple videos that I've put up, the link is in those videos as well. Sunday, what time? Sunday, 1 o'clock Pacific. I don't know where you are, Quentin. I know you were traveling around quite a bit. Where are you? What state are you in, Quentin? Quentin was on the go. He did not let no COVID keep him from hitting the road. So 1 o'clock Pacific. Okay, I'm back in California. Okay. Are you where I think you are? Quentin. Well, he may or may not want to share that. 20 trips in 2020. Okay, so I'm going to wrap this up now. That's really what I wanted to talk about, is to just share a few things that I think we can expect to happen in 2021, the Age of Aquarius moving forward. Just to recap, look for more emphasis upon global issues, understanding ourselves as a global community, because Aquarians are like that, right? They have a humanitarian kind of idealism, a gregariousness, very social, very talkative, so very communicative. So we can expect to see innovations in the realm of communication, sciences, arts, just innovations by December 2021. There is no telling what will have jumped off. Plus, y'all know we will have a new president. And think about how innovative it is to have this combination, a white man and a black woman, right? Think about how innovative this presidential administration is going to be. Whether you like it or not, or whether you think these are the best people or not, it's still innovative. And that's what I'm saying is par for the course of what we can expect, that things are going to look a lot different than they have. Yes, new president, she is going to do great things, and I think so too. But it's a dawning of a new age. It's a dawning of an Aquarius, Age of Aquarius. I said, y'all know that song. And individual expression. Aquarians are quirky and, some would say just out there, right? And they don't necessarily want to or need to fit in. They don't care so much about that. So they don't mind being the people who look like weirdos, in public or whatever, wearing whatever they want to wear, doing whatever they want to do. And so individual expression. I mentioned earlier, trans people. We're going to see more trans people, but in ways that we just can't even imagine. I really, more than trans, I mean non-conforming. People are going to feel freer to be non-conforming, non-traditional. The increase in people who are studying these kind of esoteric, non-traditional spiritualities even, right? My channel has really started to grow, right? My Venus is in Aquarius and my love relationships are very different. Wait, where's my Venus? Oh, my Venus is in Leo. We talked about this, Reverend Quentin. My Venus is in Leo. Anyway, individual expression. Yeah. So look for non-traditional ways. People are going to show up in non-traditional ways. My Venus is in Libra. All right then. Final Fantasy Melanin. I'm Libra. So hey. Lioness in relationship. I know, right? And attracted to Leos. Leo energy, I should say more. Oh, flowers, thank you. All right, let's wrap this up. If y'all gonna take this class, sign up for the class. I appreciate you joining me. I also appreciate the fact that we have 2,500 subscribers now on the channel. That is really great for me. That's one of the things that really took off in the end of 2020 for me. Like all of a sudden, the channel took off, and I was already, doing what I was doing, but then surprisingly, YouTube was like, oh, here you can monetize. Oh, here, just more people come in, and that seemed to happen surprisingly, magically. Remember what I said, magically manifesting, and how she took till December to take her sweet time about showing me things. I'm going to share your channel on my IG. Thank you, Reverend Quentin. And again, y'all, if you want a reading, a tarot or something, Quentin is just all kind of magical and psychic. So whatever kind of reading you want, but I believe it'll probably be tarot from him. Whatever he gives you, it'll be good stuff. Okay, that's it. Me too. Tess Martin. Are we related? No. What does that mean, you two? Are you going to share you two? That's what that means? Or you two are all magical and psychic? Okay. All right. So how do I end this thing now? This is so true. Okay. Hey, Angela. Thanks for showing up. Thank you. All right. What's your IG, Tess? Oh, before I click the thing off. Go ahead, Tess, and share your IG, because I'm about to say bye. And I don't know if it'll show up there if I cancel, if I end it. Tess Beauty Bar. Let me go see that. Tess Beauty Bar. I'm a sucker for beautiful things, because Libra. A sucker for beautiful things, especially if you put sequins or glitter on it. All right. Bye-bye.